Hi, peeps. You're listening to She's My Cherry Pie, the baking podcast from the Cherry Bombe Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jessie Sheehan. I'm a baker, recipe developer, and author of 4 baking books, including Snackable Bakes. Each Saturday, I hang out with the sweetest bakers around and take a deep dive into their signature bakes. My guests today are a dynamic mother-daughter duo, Debbi and Ashley Fields. Debbi is the founder of the iconic Mrs. Fields cookies, and her daughter Ashley is a cookie queen in her own right and just launched Fields Good Cookies, a modern company baking up functional cookies. Debbi opened her first Mrs. Fields store in 1977 when she was 21 and helped turn warm, freshly baked, oversized cookies into a household name. Fun fact, I ate them all the time as a kid, as no trip to the mall was complete without at least one. Ashley grew up with a front row seat to that cookie legacy, and now she's carrying it forward in her own very unique way with Fields Good Cookies. They join me today to talk about their early baking memories and how they each fell in love with baking cookies. Debbi tells me about the early days at Mrs. Fields, while Ashley tells me about her childhood, growing up around baking and her mom's incredible business, as well as why she decided to follow in her mom's cookie footsteps while simultaneously creating something entirely her own. I loved learning about the first cookies Debbi ever baked and the fact she created a version of her first Mrs. Fields prototype, warm and oversized, when she was only 13. And I loved learning what it was like from Ashley's perspective growing up with such a trailblazer for a mom, and how much cachet she had amongst her friends due to her mom's very sweet business, and about Ashley's own functional cookie business. I know you'll enjoy our conversation, so stay tuned. Calling all West Coast peeps, Cherry Bombe is headed to California this September for our Farmers and Makers Weekend, and tickets are on sale now. Farmers and Makers is a 3-day celebration of the farmers, winemakers, chefs, artisans, and culinary creatives who make California's food and beverage scene so extraordinary. It's taking place in Paso Robles, California, from Friday, September 25th to Sunday, September 27th. There will be tastings, winery tours, panel discussions, dinners, and special gatherings. For the full schedule and tickets, head to cherrybombe.com or click the link in our show notes. I hope to see you there. Let's chat with today's guests. Ashley and Debbi, so excited to have you on She's My Cherry Pie and to chat cookies with you both and so much more. First, Debbi, can you please share your earliest childhood baking memory?
Oh my gosh, yes. My mom was trying to raise 5 daughters, I'm the baby, and make every dollar stretch because my father was a welder and we lived in a house that was under 1,000 square feet. You know, she did amazing things, but when you love what you do, you know you're always a star. Well, my mom did not like to cook. And frankly, I didn't like to eat anything she made. I literally had a phobia around anything she made and the fear of it. And so I became completely focused on what could I eat that I love. And I started making chocolate chip cookies, and I would make them with the ingredients we had at the house. I mean, like margarine, imitation chocolate chips, fake vanilla. And I was just blown away with how great my cookies were. Oh. And it was basically my food pyramid. So that's how I really got entrenched in falling in love with the chocolate chip cookie.
Was there an early sweet memory that you remember either at home or elsewhere?
There was. Having 4 sisters, each of us developed our own special techniques. So my sister, Kathy, was the pancake maker, still makes the best pancakes, to this day. I had another sister who was the sandwich maker. I had another sister who was the cake maker. So we all literally, for survival, found something that we did very well and zeroed in on it. I will say the one memory that was always special was Emma's cake, and that was a cake that my grandmother had made, and my mother, thank heavens, gave the recipe to my oldest sister. And that just brought such joy and such grand memories to the whole experience.
Do you remember the cake? Can you describe the cake? Chocolate or vanilla?
Oh, no. It was very plain. It was basically a cinnamon cake made with margarine and all the other fake ingredients. But I thought that was stupendous.
Ashley, what about you? I've read that you've been baking since you were born. So can you tell us about an early baking memory?
Yeah, it's been such a fun journey. I was looking at old photos, and one of the oldest photos we have is me on the kitchen counter with my hand in her dough. So I think my love affair with baking and sugar started when I was quite young. So I do remember always being able to peer into the bowl and help her where I could, which basically just meant that I was eating the dough. I also have very early memories of when she was doing photo shoots or anything like that, and they would have cookies and brownies all over our kitchen. And I wasn't yet tall enough to be able to reach and see, but the way that they would do these photo shoots is they would aerosol everything to make it look better in the pictures. And so I just remember being able to sneak and get a cookie. But it was covered with hairnet, aqua spray.
Yeah.
And so it's something I've been working through with my therapist.
Right.
Really...
That is a great memory. That is a great memory. I love that. It's funny. You are one of 5.
I'm one of 5.
You are one of 5.
Yeah, it's pretty
Incredible.
amazing.
And they're all girls.
Oh, girl power to the max.
Oh, my gosh. Were you more into the baking than your sisters?
Yes, absolutely.
Interesting.
I think one thing that we learned early is that cookies are our love language across our family. So we all know our family recipes memorized by heart. And we are able to, all of my sisters and I are able to bring cookies to anything that we go to. Not able, but we enjoy baking cookies. I would say that by far and above, though, I'm the one that's usually in the kitchen baking. Everyone's good at it, but I'm not competitive. But I'm probably the best at it.
Right. Nice. I love that. Yeah, you got to own it. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit more about like food, families, and what you came from. And Debbie, you already sort of alluded to this, but your mom did not love cooking. She was busy. She considered it a thankless chore. And like you said, you refused to eat, so you had to make cookies. I understand that the first one you made would have just been the one off the recipe off the bag of chocolate chips.
Well, we couldn't afford the Toll House recipe yet.
Okay.
So it was just from the imitation,
So there was the bag of imitation chocolate that also had a recipe?
Yes, yes. And so I hadn't graduated to that level yet. But the journey began when I got my first job. And with that first job, interesting enough, it was a unique experience. I was the first female ball girl for the Oakland A's. I was being paid $5 a game. And I mean, I have to say, I just felt so wealthy. And I saved that money, and I took the cash, and I went shopping. And I want everybody who's listening to think right now, what was the first thing you bought with your own hard-earned money? Well, for me, that was a literally tour down the aisle of a grocery store, and I put butter in my cart, real vanilla, real chocolate, just the best ingredients. And I went home and I whipped up a batch of cookies. And then I took them out of the oven. I let them cool slightly so that I could wait long enough so it wouldn't burn my mouth. And my first bite changed my life, because I said, oh my gosh, butter is better. And it was like nirvana. It was like a lightning rod that hit me and said, you know what, Debbie? Whenever you make a cookie again, as a 13-year-old, I really learned the importance of quality. I never understood it, but that taste of real ingredients, real quality. And I said, I don't care. Whatever it takes in my life, I will make enough money to make chocolate chip cookies with the best ingredients, and I will never compromise. And I do have a love affair with butter. It's on my license plate. I literally thank the stars, the universe, for bringing butter into my life.
Hi, everybody. It's Carrie Diamond, host of Radio Cherry Bombe. I'm just popping in to tell you that Jessie is interviewing Melissa Clark. Yes, the Melissa Clark, live on Saturday, August 1st, as part of Page to Plate, a celebration of cooks and cooking at the Hotchkiss Library in Sharon, Connecticut. It's all part of the 28th annual Sharon Summer Book Signing Weekend. The ticket link is in our show notes. If you are anywhere near Sharon, definitely check them out. Jessie and Melissa are fun and fascinating and so smart, and they have a lot to say about baking, cookbooks, recipes, and all the things.
You were 13 when you first developed a soft-baked cookie. So you kind of took those really good ingredients and started fiddling with them more, came up with underbaked, came up with oversized. And I read that, that the reason you made big cookies was so you could say to your mom, oh, I just had one cookie.
Oh, yeah. I'm always in the kitchen. I'm always eating cookies. I am sharing cookies. And it was my love language. I loved having the cookies for me to eat. I loved having cookies for me to share. And Mom was a little concerned about the amount I was eating. And she's like, how many cookies did you eat today? You know, I was making them really small at the time, kind of like the size of quarters. And I just didn't want to tell her double digits. So I said, I've got a new idea. I started making my cookies kind of into like little baby mini pizzas. And oh my gosh, I put that in the oven. It came out soft and chewy because I was playing with temperatures. And it wasn't like the first stab at it. But when I finally got this cookie that was soft and chewy and big, and Mom was like, okay, Deb, how many did you eat? I'm like, Mom, oh my gosh, I'm just one, hon. Just one cookie, Mom. And it's like, I'm happy and it's good.
I learned that by 18, you were already known locally for your delicious cookies, like a richer, kind of doughier recipe than just how you described it, oversized, soft, crispy edges.
I'll tell you how I approach my recipe, and it's kind of how I approach life. So I made this commitment. I never knew I was going to go in the cookie business. But when I learned at the age of 13 how important quality is, I said, okay, I'm going to build this cookie. And when I build it, I want to put in so much butter. Literally, the cookie turns into a pancake, and sure did. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to put in so much chocolate and the real vanilla and all those, like the best ingredient. I'm going to stuff it in. And I got to the point where literally I could not add another chocolate chip because it would fall out of the dough. And then I went, I'm good now. I built it so that I took my cookie to the extreme. And part of it is still not knowing that I was going to be Mrs. Fields, that I was going to have this cookie company. I just knew that when you build a product or service, you take it to the extreme. You never compromise. And more importantly, you know what that does? It sets you apart because there will always be competition in anything you do. And if you go ahead and take your product and service to the extreme where it's impossible to add one more chip or any more butter, you know what? Then everybody else will come in as a me too.
Yep.
You will stand and you will own that for life.
So, Ashley, I know that your house was literally like the most popular amongst all the kids in the neighborhood. Were they just like, oh my gosh, it's Mrs. Fields' house? Like, can we come over?
Yes. And so when I was little, we were growing up in a really small town in Utah. And I just remember that our house, it always smelled like cookies. And I think like most homes across the U.S., the kitchen was the heart of the house. And so especially with 5 girls, my parents, we were always together and we grew up on abundance. And I think that has translated, whether that's in our recipes, but to our friends and family as well. So we were definitely the gathering place. We had lots of animals, we had lots of friends, and we had lots of cookies.
I love that so much. And I read that you sort of alluded to this with your hand in the, stand mixer bowl, but you and your 4 sisters sort of helped with Debbie's recipe development, as it were, maybe so you could steal the chocolate chips or, et cetera. But as you got a little bit older, you were actually interested in watching what your mom was doing in the kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that baking has always been something that we shared and an activity that we can do together. My mom and I have always been super close. So we used to go, well, we still do. We go on trips together all over the world.
Just the two of you, like without the other sisters, or? Yeah.
Ashley kind of demands that. She's the one daughter that loves to be with me. And I'm always invited. Like if she's going with her friends, she's like, "You want to come, Mom?" And we have done things together. And honestly, those are the memories that it's magical memories.
That's nice. It's also nice that you're differentiated from your sisters in that sense, because that's something that like you guys share, which is really nice.
But when we've been on these trips together, I think something that has been such a fun part of that is finding local ingredients to bake with and using the tools at hand. And so that is something, in my early 20s, whether we were in
Safari,
England or Africa or Mexico, is being able as a family to bake together using ingredients.
Oh, that's super cool. And so you guys would just be staying somewhere where you had access to a kitchen and you guys would be baking cookies?
Not necessarily. When we did a safari trip with the family, I had this mission to make cookies anywhere, even in conditions where there are no ovens. And so there was a fire pit with the safari. And part of the process of this whole experience of baking is you have to be prepared to fail. But the quest of stepping into the unknown is maybe the most exciting. And so I brought ingredients and we attempted to to put the cookies in this fire pit. And I'm not saying they were perfect. It was so cool. Aww. I mean, just that whole experience. When I climbed Kilimanjaro, and, you have to be real careful about how much you put on your backpack. Well, most of it was cookie ingredients. And before I actually got to the top, I took the challenge of trying to make cookies there. I mean, impossible things, but why not? Yeah. And all they had was a boiler. And so I did steamed cookies. The texture, it was like a steamed dumpling. Yeah. But we got it.
Yeah. I had some British friends. I was staying with them in Chicago. And we went out for a night out. And when we got back, I said, thank you for letting me stay with you. I'd love to bake you guys some cookies. Aww. And I channeled you. I didn't have any type of mixer. I only had the tools available to me, which was a spoon and a cocktail muddler. And I ended up making them a batch of cookies with a cocktail muddler because I wasn't going to take no for an answer. And now we laugh about it because they had no idea about my background or upbringing. They just thought I was this weird American girl that liked to bake cookies when we got home from a night out. And they were like, sure, go for it.
Okay, honey.
But then they, every time I would come visit, they're like, will you come over and make more? Because then they'd freeze the dough and bake them when they could.
Love.
Yeah, we're innovative.
Were there other sweets happening in the house besides cookies that you were working? Yes. Tell me what other things what were you helping with?
I was working on our cookbook.
Okay. When Ashley was a little girl?
Yes.
Okay.
And the way I was...
The first one?
The first one.
Okay.
And the way I was approaching that was to, first of all, just think about things that I loved and then make them in my kitchen. I felt that the way I would approach this was to make the product, write down the recipe, and then I would take it to the office and hand out 10 copies of that recipe and ask people on a certain date to bring them back in. I have to tell you, it was the greatest test kitchen in the world because I used real people in all their various crazy kitchens to see if what I intended
could be replicated.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so good. And I mean, if I did it right, the product was exactly, my interpretation was so well communicated. And this is not from people that love to bake either. It was just anything.
Yeah.
And then I did that with every recipe. And when I saw finished products come back and I was horrified, I understood that I was not clear.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to produce the first Mrs. Fields cookie book with more than cookies. I feel such gratitude to be able to say this and lucky enough. It was done with real people, no test kitchens, authenticity.
And you didn't have a writer working with you.
No,
Yeah.
no. And so I feel so fortunate
Yeah.
for all the people that helped me make that happen.
Yeah. So there were other sweets that were going to go in that book that were around when Ashley was little. You mentioned this earlier, and I had already read about this, and I didn't know it was also your sister's, but you've memorized all the cookie recipes from childhood.
I do. I have them memorized. We've made we have twists on everything. They're different from her cookbooks. They're secret recipes. My go-to is the chocolate chip.
Yeah.
That one I have memorized. I think that's actually the only one I have
Yeah.
memorized. And that's because that's my favorite flavor. But some of my sisters love oatmeal raisin or the peanut butter. And so they make those more often. The kitchen sink.
Yeah.
That one's really fun.
Yeah.
So I think you probably know this is once you have a good base, right, making those additions and changes comes a little naturally. And sometimes you fail and sometimes it turns out really well.
So in 1977, we're going to go back now, you started Mrs. Fields. I think you were 21. I mean,
Yes.
Ashley, I'm just like, I can't even believe your mom. But anyway.
Same.
Right? Me at 21? I mean, whatever. But anyway, so you already had a passion for baking. You had a passion. You wanted to start your own business. Tell us about how your dad inspired you with the importance of doing something you love.
Well, my dad always said that wealth is found in family and friends and loving what you do. And I was really struggling, honestly, going through high school. I didn't really fit in because I wanted to be a participant in school activities. We didn't have the money. I couldn't be part of the ski team. I couldn't just do additional items unless it was funded. And I think that truly, that was really a good thing because I knew I wanted to try things. I know I didn't have the financial means, but I could work. And so I worked all through high school. I basically was working part-time, full-time. I was the assistant manager in the boys department at a local department store. And I knew I was really good at working, but I wasn't really good at, committing to my education. And when I graduated, I thought, I have to prove to myself because my sisters, they didn't mean it, but it impacted my life. They would call me, hey, stupid. And, that really affected me. And so I decided, how am I going to overcome this feeling? And I thought, I'm going to go to a junior college and I'm going to get A's. Because if I get A's, I'm not stupid. Well, I did go to a junior college. I nearly completed it. And it was all A's, beautiful A's. Nice. And, I needed to know that. I also didn't finish because I got married. I made the decision that I wanted something more. And when you have nothing, people don't really see you. And I had nothing. I had no pedigree. I had no money. I didn't have a college education. I mean, the list is as long as you can imagine. But there's nothing to hide. All of that was true. And when my big kind of do something with your life, Debbie, we got invited to a home where Randy was starting a fledgling business, investment business, and he was looking for money. And there was this gentleman and his wife that invited us to their home. I was so blown away because I drove up to an estate. That's not something in Oakland you see very much. And it was so grand. And Sandy met us at the door, welcomed us in. And, of course, I was so uncomfortable, but, I was trying to fake it until you make it. And Sandy had invited us to join him in the library while his wife was putting the final touches on dinner. And I was thinking Randy was behind me, but he wasn't. And I went into the most beautiful library, and I'm trying to get myself comfortable. I mean, I am so awkward here, fish out of water. And Sandy, dressed very elegantly, very collegiate. He starts talking to me, asking me questions, and then he finally just turns to me and goes, Debbie, what are you trying to do with your life? And I'm just like, oh, my God, okay. I got to say something, maybe something meaningful that maybe he'll like me. Okay, what could that be? And I'm like, well, Sandy, I'm really trying to get orientated. And he stops me. He gets up. He walks over to a bookcase. And then he grabs this very heavy tome, like leather bound. And I'm sitting on the couch, and he stands before me, and he tosses the book in my lap. And he said, listen, if you can't speak the English language, then don't speak at all. The word is not orientated, it's oriented. And he left the room. He was just really annoyed with me. And I literally sat there, and tears started rolling down my cheeks. And I thought, okay, how am I going to recover here? And I thought, you know what Sandy didn't understand, and I think that the world didn't understand, is that everybody saw me as a nobody, but I wanted to be a somebody. Yeah. And I just didn't know how to do it. And then I was sitting there, and I remember my dad saying, you know, Debbie, that true wealth is found in family and friends and loving what you do. And I'm like, you know what I'm really good at? I am a good cookie maker, and I'm going to do this. And you know what? I am going to prove to Sandy that I am worthy enough to sit in a room and talk to me. Well, anyway, I survived that evening, but I went back. I put a business plan together, and I spent a good portion of years trying to prove to Sandy I was worthy. I will tell you, Sandy gave me the greatest gift, is that I thought I was trying to teach him that I meant something, that I was a somebody, but he gave me the greatest gift. And that was, I realized I was trying to prove it to myself.
Totally. And when you did go out and try to start your cookie business, there was a lot of rejection. And you already you're so tough to some degree, like you were ready for it.
Well, first of all, I accept my limitations. Now, not really, because you know, yes, I have no money, and yes, I have all these things that are not really where people think, you know, why would I invest in her? But I accepted them. I think what's important in life is to not run away from your limitations, but to stop and say, okay, this is the way it is. Yeah, there's challenges, and step back in boldly. And like when I went to go get financing, and everybody's coaching me and say, okay, put on that boring blue suit where the hemline is like 3 inches under your knees. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm not like them. Why do I want to pretend? I put on the most vibrant, colorful dress because I took advantage of the fact of I do have limitations, but I wanted them to know I'm different. And so when I was seeking money, and the world always wants to say no when you have nothing, and I also got okay with that because I knew it was going to be hard, but when certain things happened, like so many doors, so much rejection, that my mom, it's like she came in on that white horse and saved the day when she said, oh, Debbie, you know this is not working. Just give up. And I'm like, oh, Mom, thank you, because giving up is the easiest thing I can do. And I'm not ready yet to give up on my dream. And then I want to tell you, I did secure financing because I said, literally, my mantra every morning was, no is an unacceptable answer, and I will find somebody who wants to say yes. I did get that financing. I got $25,000 to start my business, 22% prime, and the best money that could get me launched. And I was so grateful.
Amazing. How did you land on oversized and freshly baked, which seems like two really amazingly unique? That's why I loved Mrs. Fields as a teenager and young person so much, because I've always loved a freshly baked cookie. Even now, I prefer them right out of the oven than next day. Like, who wants that? But how did you land on that?
Actually, I landed on the fact, this is just really important to me. I'm crazy when it comes to such intentional perfection. I don't want to be in this business if I was not going to sell fresh, warm, and hot. Mm-hmm. And actually, the business I believe I've always been in, I don't sell cookies. I sell happiness. Mm-hmm. My job is to deliver the cookie, fresh, warm, and hot. And my job and my team's job is to never look at the cash register, but to look at one register, and that is, my team was told, all you have to do is make people smile. And frankly, those beliefs helped me build Mrs. Fields. Any cookie that was not sold within 2 hours of being baked had to become a cookie orphan. And that cookie orphan had to find a home, and we would gather our cookie orphans and give them to blood banks.
Ashley, were you like so different from your friends growing up? Like, were there other moms that were killing it the way Debbi was?
No.
Like, she must have been a unicorn.
She was definitely a unicorn. Now starting my own business, going out and fundraising and doing all of these things with the incredible support networks that I have, to be able to look and see what my mom did, I have such a deep respect. I can't believe she did it. I mean, us talking earlier, like at 21, I can't believe they gave me a driver's license.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Me either. I was so irresponsible.
She had a baby too. I mean,
it's incredible. You've said that you didn't even quite realize what a trailblazer she was.
Not at all. I mean, especially when we were so young, it was just incredible. We always knew my mom. She always looked fabulous, of course. Yeah, I mean, we always knew we had working parents. So both my mom and my dad worked, and we had people that helped take care of us. And I think we just never realized that she was building this empire of happiness all over the world, and yet still coming home. And, you know, again, like we had a very joyous childhood.
That's amazing.
And, you know, as I'm embarking on this mission, I'm hoping to have kids in the near future. And I'm like, how did she do it?
I know. It's incredible.
5?
It's incredible.
I have one wiener dog, and I say,
and you're just like, oh my God, I got to get home.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened when you were in college. Your mom would come and visit.
Yeah. So I think it's always been one of those things where people don't associate my last name with her. It's like when you meet a Smith or a Ford, you're not like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so, again, similar to the British couple I was telling you about, this is not something that I'm openly broadcasting that my mom is Debbi Fields, the founder of Mrs. Fields. So early on in college in my sorority house, I would email people and I'd say, oh, we just got a box of cookies from my mom. I would literally close my door and hide because you would hear, it was like, like
a stampede?
Yes, a stampede. All of these people running to get the cookies. Oh. And I mean, it just became one of those things that it was a ritual for us to get those monthly boxes of cookies from her. Obviously, then people started to connect the dots and they were like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Actually, so my co-founder of my company now, her and I met in college. We became best friends and we also became roommates. And we went to college at Stanford, and they always guarantee housing. But the year we came back from studying abroad, they had run out of housing. So they said, girls, we have to put you in off-campus housing, but it had a kitchen. What's so, again, kismet about it is that I actually had a kitchen in college to bake. And so that was when I also got to bake cookies for my roommate, my best friend, and now my co-founder. So it was such an interesting turn of events.
Yeah, I read about the two of you meeting in college. Were you baking the cookies together, or was it your jam and she was just enjoying them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It was my jam. But she's always been very interested in, asking me questions about, well, why do you add it like this? Mm-hmm. And because it's so second nature for me, I've never really thought about, well, this is why we add baking soda and baking powder, and this is the order in which we do things. And actually explaining to her butter has been a very fun exercise. So I know you love working with melted butter.
Yeah.
I always love doing room temperature or cold,
creaming.
Right?
Yep.
And teaching her how to cut the cubes. So we balance each other in terms of our curiosities about the strengths one another brings.
And you decided in 2024 to start a startup together. Yeah. Tell us about the concept of Feel Good. I love the name, Feel Good Cookies.
Yes. So Kim and I, we went to college together. We were best friends, and we actually ended up working together about a decade after graduation. And it was while we were there that we asked ourselves, we know we can work together. Mm-hmm. We know we can live together. Why are we not building something that we love for others? And that's really what got us started thinking about building something together. And growing up, I always knew that a cookie was so much more than a cookie. It has the power of nostalgia, of emotion, of joy. And so what I wanted to do was make cookies that could be used more frequently and on more occasions. And so Fields Good cookies are functional, soft-baked cookies that taste as good as they make you feel. So all of our cookies not only taste delicious, but they have science-backed ingredients that actually make you feel something in addition to that amazing taste.
Tell us about what's the function of the 3 cookies?
So our starting lineup is really intended to mimic the natural course of the day and identifying those need states where people are already looking for a solution. So we have our protein cookie. I don't think anyone's heard about protein lately, right?
What's protein?
Yeah, exactly. So our peanut butter protein cookie is made with 10 grams of protein and 4 grams of fiber. We have our focus cookie. This is actually my favorite cookie. It's a mocha chocolate cookie made with 3 grams of creatine, 250 milligrams of acetylcholine, which is really good for brain health and cognition, and a sprinkle of L-theanine to help balance the natural caffeine from the mocha and the chocolate. And then our sleep cookie, it's an oatmeal raisin sleep cookie made with L-theanine. So you can see how, ostensibly you could reach for 3 cookies a day, and they are better for you, and they're really intended to have multiple benefits outside of the non-negotiable. Over the course of the last 2 years, I have thrown away so much dough, is that I don't want you to know that there's any functional actives in this cookie. I just want you to bite into it and say, that's a really good cookie.
Love that. Tell us about, I believe this is true, that the money from your investors was specifically from a company that invests in women-run businesses?
Yes.
So cool.
It was amazing. So our anchor investor is a fund called Female Founders Fund, led by Anu. She is the most phenomenal curator of women supporting women. She really stands for what she believes in. So we were lucky enough to get connected to her, and Female Founders Fund led our priced pre-seed round. I think what's been so fascinating about my journey to financing is how different it was than my mom's.
Yeah.
She raised $25,000 at 22% prime. Everyone said no to her. They had to have my dad sign for everything.
So sexist.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's insane.
And here I am with a female-founded fund behind me, a network of women and other entrepreneurs where we're all supporting one another. When you asked me earlier, did I know how my mom did it? To this day, it's that fire, that grit that she showed me that inspires me every day to turn no's into yeses. Mm-hmm. And again, just thinking about all the opportunities I've had that she didn't is incredible.
Yeah. There's a lot that's different today, which is really important and great. Like the difference between all these sexist men rejecting you and wanting you to wear a skirt down to your, ankles versus, you finding women who are like, oh, actually, we're going to invest in you because you're a women-run business and that's what we care about investing in.
Incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. And the cookies sound so good. Mocha, protein, the PB, the mocha, and the oatmeal.
Yeah.
Why no chocolate chip cookie?
So chocolate chip is in development.
Okay.
What I really wanted to do first is because, of course, there are some functional cookies on the market. There are incumbents in the space, but the cookies taste bad. Mm-hmm. And so I think that customers have been so used to sacrificing taste in the name of function. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to do the reverse. And so what I did was really lean into the natural states of the flavors themselves. So peanut butter is always already very high in protein. It makes it much easier to have a higher protein cookie. Mocha and mocha chocolate, right? You already get those hints of caffeine. Mocha is already associated with sort of that enhancement. So it made sense to do mocha chocolate. And then oatmeal raisin. I want this cookie to tuck you in. Oatmeal raisin is
cozy.
It's so cozy. So the flavor is extended to the functions themselves, but chocolate chip is in development. We'll be adding additional functional cookies as well. We have a lactation cookie in the works. That one will definitely be chocolate chip. But the goal is to absolutely expand to more functions and flavors.
Yep. And right now, where can people find the cookies?
So we're currently available on our website, D2C, so fieldsgood.co. We are launching in pop-up grocer in July, which will be really exciting for those in New York. And we have a lot more retail conversations happening now.
Amazing. Debbi, can you, just to kind of close us out, can you tell us a little bit about some of those flavors from like my childhood of the Mrs. Fields cookies?
Now, I will tell you the cookie, like the white chocolate macadamia nut. Oh my God, this was so fun. I made the cookie, of course, in my kitchen, and I loved it. And the white chocolate especially, it had to have cocoa butter. It has to have cocoa butter to be incredible, but it makes it very expensive. And then you add the most expensive nut in the world to the recipe. And I was in my kitchen. Randy happened to walk past me, and he said, there is no way that you can put all that white chocolate and macadamia nuts. And I said, Randy, thank you so much for your input, but get out of my kitchen.
Yeah.
And then I went to the store in San Francisco, and I made batches of white chocolate macadamia nut, and I just did tastings where it just sample. And oh my gosh, people loved them. And it was true. I was not willing to compromise at all. And so when I introduced the higher, more expensive cookies,
how did the semi-sweet do versus, because I don't remember the semi-sweet. I remember the white chocolate macadamia. How did the semi-sweet version do?
Okay, so first of all, in America, the number one selling cookie is semi-sweet without nuts. And in certain parts of the country, like in Utah, the number one cookie is milk chocolate. And then I would have a variation of cookies. I'd have cocoa mac. And I'm not a coconut girl, but when I made my coconut, it tasted like biting into this chewy butter. I just love it. The snickerdoodles I had, the peanut butter. I mean, I would do cookies of the month. And, the thing that would annoy my customers is when I didn't have their favorite cookie, like our butter toffee. I mean, it had to be the best.
Yeah.
But then they'd come in for it. I'm like, oh, that is next month.
Yeah. And they would get upset.
And we also had brownies, like incredible brownies. Double fudge, peanut butter, lemon bars. Our brownies were always different. Like they were cold and fudgy. I never did anything like anybody else.
Yeah. So clear. It looks like neither does Ashley. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today, Debbi and Ashley. And I just want to say that you are both my cherry pie.
Oh, thank you for giving us the love and inspiration of not only the whole baking philosophy, but the inspiration to continue on.
Oh,
you're incredible. This has been so lovely.
This is so fun. That's it for today's show. Don't forget to follow She's My Cherry Pie on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And tell your pals about us. She's My Cherry Pie is a production of the Cherry Bombe Podcast Network. Our producers are Carrie Diamond, Catherine Baker, and Jenna Sadu. Thank you so much for listening to She's My Cherry Pie, and happy baking.